In Iceland, sexual relationships and nudism are approached with remarkable openness. This liberal attitude may surprise those from other cultures who may find such behaviors unconventional or shocking. Conversely, Icelanders might be equally surprised by the modesty observed in other cultures regarding nudity and casual relationships. In Icelandic society, discussing sexuality is commonplace and natural. The norms around relationships and nudism are viewed as integral aspects of life, and there's no shame in expressing them. Icelandic women are notably influential, taking on assertive roles and often leading initiatives both at home and in the workplace. Today, Iceland is celebrated for its stunning and unique landscapes, including volcanoes, glaciers, horses, puffins, sheep, and the breathtaking natural beauty that captivates visitors. One standout natural feature is the Skogafoss waterfall, which cascades over 197 feet with a width of 82 feet. It's surrounded by lush green grass in summer and a blanket of snow in winter. According to legend, a Viking once hid treasure in a cave behind the waterfall. In addition to its natural wonders, Iceland has been known for its playful approach to sexual freedom. For example, a prominent Icelandic airline has used slogans like "Looking for a daring weekend in Iceland" and "Miss Iceland awaits you" to promote the idea of adventurous getaways. These promotions often carry a humorous tone and are taken lightly by Icelanders. In Iceland, casual relationships and spontaneous encounters are not uncommon. An Icelandic airline even featured virtual games on its website, such as Haldur Gets Lucky at the Blue Lagoon and Hildur Gets Lucky at the Blue Lagoon, where characters chased each other around the famous Blue Lagoon to earn points. This playful approach reflects Iceland's relaxed attitude towards intimacy and relationships. The Blue Lagoon, a renowned spa with a warm, artificial lagoon, is one of Iceland's must-visit destinations. It offers a unique experience of soaking in warm waters while the weather outside might be cold. Icelandic men and women exhibit a liberal approach to dating and intimacy. There's no pressure to wait through multiple dates before becoming intimate, and sometimes intimacy is explored early on to gauge compatibility. Icelandic women often take the lead, whether in romantic contexts or in professional settings, showcasing their proactive and influential roles. In Iceland, women often hold equal or even greater responsibility within work teams, a stark contrast to many countries where men are traditionally expected to take the lead, and women are less frequently seen in leadership roles. In the United States, Mexico, and various European and Asian countries, dating and sexual relationships usually follow an unwritten code, where multiple dates are typically expected before becoming intimate. Often, 3 dates are considered a significant milestone. However, if sexual intimacy is viewed as an integral part of a relationship, it might make sense to prioritize it, and then proceed with dating if there's mutual interest. This approach is common among some Icelandic men and women, where sexual connection often precedes formal dating. While this pattern is generally observed, it's not a rigid rule and is viewed positively within Icelandic culture. The norms around sexual freedom in Iceland and other Nordic countries have historical roots. Gender equality and open attitudes towards sexuality in Iceland can be traced back to its early settlers. The first permanent settler, Viking Ingolf Arnarsson, and his wife Halveig Frodadóttir established themselves in Reykjavik in 874. Throughout the Viking Age, women were involved in various roles, including managing households, hunting, building, and farming. Notably, Viking women could also hold leadership positions and had a relatively liberal stance on sexuality. Premarital relationships were not uncommon, and women had the right to evaluate their potential partner's suitability. They could marry from the age of 15, often to much older men, and had significant say in marriage arrangements. Married women enjoyed rights such as divorce and land inheritance. Reasons for divorce could include wearing clothes of the opposite sex, same-sex relationships, or refusal of intimacy. Initially, extramarital relations were accepted, but later they became punishable offenses, with severe consequences for those caught in affairs. The Icelandic sagas, which document the settlement of Iceland in the 10th and 11th centuries, frequently mention sexual relations. In a historical context, Iceland faced a crisis in 1707 when a smallpox epidemic claimed about a quarter of the population, roughly 12,000 people. At that time, Iceland was under Danish rule, and the Danish king decreed that every Icelandic woman should have 6 children to help the population recover. This directive, though harsh, was viewed as a necessary measure for survival rather than an unjust or shameful mandate. Iceland's historical and cultural background influences its approach to dating and relationships, making premarital intimacy and practical relationships more common than idealized romantic love. Unlike in many other countries, where courtship and romantic gestures are emphasized, Icelandic dating tends to be more straightforward. Historically, Viking women could engage in premarital relationships to assess potential spouses. This practice persists today. In Iceland, it's typical for individuals to engage in a sexual relationship before deciding whether to pursue a deeper connection. Many Icelanders find dating without a clear connection to be uncomfortable. Typically, social interactions begin at a party, bar, or through an app, followed by going to each other's places to explore intimacy. Following this, individuals decide whether to continue seeing each other. This approach reflects the prominent role of Icelandic women's equality and independence, evident in universities and parliament. For instance, women constitute about 2/3 of university students and around 50% of parliamentarians. Icelandic society recognizes that sexual desires are not solely a male attribute. Women openly express their sexual needs and are encouraged to assertively communicate their desires. This openness might intimidate men from other cultures, as Icelandic women are confident in pursuing what they want without feeling embarrassed. There is no stigma associated with women expressing their sexual intentions or having multiple partners. Rather, it's viewed as a normal and healthy expression of individuality. Romantic love is less idealized in Iceland compared to other cultures. Emotions are certainly present, but they often follow rather than precede physical intimacy. This pragmatic approach to relationships may be influenced by Iceland's challenging environment, where survival and practicality are prioritized. Iceland's climate has historically been harsh. From 879 to 1170, a warmer period facilitated settlement, but the climate began to cool towards the end of the 12th century, with some intermittent warm spells. Winters can be severe, with temperatures dropping to around 27 degrees US in the coldest months, though this is less extreme compared to other regions where temperatures can plunge below 14 degrees US. Violent storms and heavy snowfall are also common. In 934, shortly after the initial settlements, Iceland experienced one of its largest volcanic eruptions, the Olja volcano. This eruption sent lava and gases across Europe and even reached China. The Vikings, unfamiliar with volcanic activity, may have viewed the event through a mix of natural and mythological lenses. In Iceland, with a population of around 372,000, there are approximately 60,000 married couples. The Icelandic approach to relationships and marriage might seem unconventional compared to other countries. Typically, in many cultures, couples go through a series of dates, may engage in physical intimacy before or after marriage, and then start a family. In Iceland, the process often unfolds differently. Many Icelanders first engage in physical relationships, then go on dates or socialize, and may choose to live together before deciding to have children. Marriage discussions usually come later, if at all. This approach is reflected in the fact that about 70% of children in Iceland are born to unmarried parents. Divorced or separated individuals often maintain amicable relationships with their ex-partners and their current partners, demonstrating a more fluid concept of relationships. Another notable aspect of Icelandic culture is their relaxed attitude toward nudity. Bathing naked is not considered sexual, but rather a natural part of connecting with nature. You can enjoy the hot springs without feeling self-conscious, and even if someone happens to see you, it's not viewed as scandalous. For practical reasons, nudity is common in natural hot springs and other bathing spots, although you should be mindful of the temperature and potential instability of the ground. Some areas like Landmannalaugar or Haveravellir may be contaminated, so it's wise to avoid them if you're pregnant, a child, or have a weakened immune system. While Icelanders are comfortable with nudity in private or natural settings, it's important to respect social norms. You shouldn't walk around Reykjavik naked or in public places where it might be inappropriate. Swimwear is generally expected in public pools. The women are not required to wear the top part of a bikini, and men don't need to wear shirts. The unwritten rule is to avoid staring at others' private parts in public showers or spas. Regarding social interactions, Iceland's small population means there's a system to help ensure that potential partners don't share too close of a family background, which helps reduce the risk of genetic diseases in future children. In Iceland, dining out at restaurants or cafes is less common due to the small size of the country and the likelihood of running into acquaintances. People often prefer to go to more remote locations to avoid this chance. When Icelanders decide to meet and get to know each other, it's typical to have a drink to ease shyness before heading home. However, this doesn't always lead to a relationship. Many initial meetings occur through apps or social networks, with further interactions happening in bars, workplaces, gyms, or universities. There are no strict cultural norms requiring men to ask women if they want to visit their homes. Women in Iceland are proactive and often take the initiative, including when it comes to paying for drinks or meals. It's common for women to pay their own way, or even cover the entire bill. Iceland is known for its progressive stance on gender equality, with nearly 90% of women employed and a significant presence of women in universities. This equality extends to politics as well. Vigdís Finnbogadóttir, who served as Iceland's president from 1980 to 1996, was the first woman elected to lead a democratic country. Gender equality has deep historical roots in Iceland, dating back to Viking times and continuing into modern legislation. For instance, in 1850, Iceland became the first country to grant women inheritance rights equal to those of men. Since 2021, parents in Iceland can take a total of 12 months paid parental leave, with each parent entitled to 6 months at 80% of their income if employed full-time. If you're planning a visit to Iceland and want to learn more about the country, check out other videos on our channel. Keep in mind that while Icelanders have a positive view of sexuality and nudity, they don't want their country to be seen solely as a destination for sexual adventures. Visiting Iceland offers an opportunity to explore its natural wonders, and interactions with locals are generally reserved. Icelandic women are confident and assertive, but it's unlikely that you'll have a multitude of them pursuing you or find it easy to gain access to their personal spaces, unless you're exceptionally attractive. Social norms dictate that approaching strangers is unusual and uncomfortable, with more tolerance for such interactions occurring later in the evening under the influence of alcohol. Regardless, respect is crucial in all interactions. Spending time in Iceland and engaging with local customs will provide a deeper understanding of Icelanders' independence, determination, and openness about sexuality. If you're looking to travel to a country full of single and attractive women, this country is the perfect destination for you, so don't miss watching this video.